Welcome back, everybody. We're here with some folks from AEP once again on the monthly or bi-monthly podcast for the people behind the power, sponsored by Kentucky Power AEP. I'm Jeff Vanderbeck, host and publisher of several newspapers in the region. We've been reporting a lot of what's going on with Kentucky Power. We talked last week with Tanner Wolfren about the rate increases. I'm not a proponent. I understand it. I'm not a proponent, but he explained it very well. And as we ended our podcast the last time, the transparency that AEP has out there is just, I mean, it's better than most government agencies. It's sometimes when utilities go for a rate increase, they're not transparent about it. What Tanner was very transparent. Again, he's a recovering lawyer. I don't hold it against him, and I didn't like a damn word he said, but I understand it. And because of the fact that it is what it is, we have to accept that this is what it is. And in my opinion, based upon the information that I've been able to ascertain, not only through my research, but through the Public Service Commission and through the board and everything else, there are some warrants needed for some additional rate increases in some places. And I'm going to hold Wolfren's feet to the fire. He said when more people start coming into this area because of the economic growth and the development that is happening, and the pie is split up a little bit more, and some of these other bills get relieved, he said that we should be able to see some sort of rate decreases soon, and we will relish and rejoice in. I will dog them until I get that done, but again, the transparency was much appreciated. Today, I'm joined by Amanda Clark, who is their economic and business developer for Kentucky Power, AEP, or whoever we're going to call them today. Welcome, Amanda. And then I got Colby Kirk, who is the executive director of One East Kentucky. And I'll let them introduce themselves, who they are, what they do, and why they do what they're doing. And I'm really excited to talk to Colby about this because what One East Kentucky does is economic development, and the fact that he's here with Kentucky Power today is going to be an attribute of how Kentucky Power's investment in his region through places like One East Kentucky and even SOAR are helping to develop and increase business and so on. So Amanda, hello to you. How are you? Good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, like I say to most of my friends, thanks for being had. Colby, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for
All right. So tell me, One East Kentucky, what do you do?
Sure. So One East Kentucky, we are kind of the lead marketing arm for the 9-county region that we serve for industrial site development. We also help with strategic planning with communities in the region and capacity developing efforts. One East Kentucky, we've been around for about 10 years now, and our track record has helped recruit more than $50 million in new private investment to the region and a little more than 500 jobs.
And Amanda, tell me what you do at Kentucky Power AEP. I know that there's I kind of beat up on Tanner last week about, why don't we just do away with the economic development and, take that investment that the Kentucky Power makes and split it up so the ratepayers get, $15-$20 off their bill. He said, that's a great idea, but let me tell you why it's not good. And he told me, so tell me what you do there.
So as the economic and business development director, I'm the manager, not the director. As the economic and business development manager, primarily my responsibilities are working with people like Colby, working with the local governments, the local economic developers as well, to sort of facilitate this strategic plan for Eastern Kentucky. Kentucky Power has invested in sites, in workforce development, in organizations like One East Kentucky to kind of further the economic development mission of Eastern Kentucky. Before Kentucky Power's investment, One East Kentucky didn't exist. And so Eastern Kentucky is a little bit playing this sort of catch-up game, if you will, in terms of economic development. If you look at areas like the Golden Triangle, those areas have been involved in economic development activities for more than 40 years. That's not the case for Eastern Kentucky. So when Kentucky Power decided to sort of get in the economic development game, if you will, with the Kentucky Power Economic Growth Grant, and I'm sure we'll get into all the aspects of that throughout this. But when that happened, it allowed organizations like One East Kentucky to have money for marketing. It allows Colby to travel for direct marketing trips. It allows for the website, all of those sorts of things. So my job is a lot in terms of where I could be on any given day and what my responsibilities are. But the driving force behind it is to bring jobs and people to Eastern Kentucky.
You know, just like Tanner told me he's a recovering lawyer, you guys are recovering politicians. And by virtue of the fact, and here's what irritates the absolute hell out of me. Many, many years ago, our local politicians were supposed to take coal severance money and put it aside for a rainy day, invest in economic development. But instead, they were buying ice cream cones and tapped shoes and didn't do a damn thing with it. And some of them even went to jail because they were misappropriating money. So why did Kentucky Power decide, holy crap, I've got to somebody's got to do something? Is that what it happened? And there was a light bulb that went off because you said we're 40 years behind. Did somebody at Kentucky Power say, we've got to do something or we're going to be screwed in the next 10 years?
That was long before me. I've been at Kentucky Power for about 6 years, but yes, what we saw obviously was the decline of coal, the loss of the coal industry, and the loss of all the people that went with that coal industry, and the impact to rates. Frankly, we had to do something. We had to be involved in some way. I'm not sure of any other utility partner that is as involved in economic development as we are. The great thing that I have found working for Kentucky Power is the people that I work with and the company culture as a whole. We are for and about the customer. And if we have the means and the ability to impact them in a positive way, we're all working toward that. I had a great mentor several years ago tell me that economic development is like a mission. And if I didn't feel the weight of that mission, I don't need to be doing it. I feel the weight of that mission. I feel the plight of Eastern Kentucky. I'm an Eastern Kentuckian. I get it. And so not only is it my job, it's my passion we work every day to bring jobs and opportunity every single day.
So and I've spoken to some of the folks at Kentucky Power, and some of them, frankly, they don't like me because I'm too damn opinionated, but that's okay. But the passion from everybody down is there. We talked to about safety, and when there's a disaster or some dummy hits a power pole and it breaks in half, and power goes out at 2:00 in the morning because some idiot was drinking and driving like they shouldn't have been doing. People get dispatched out of bed. The power gets restored as fast as possible. When there's a disaster, crews leave their families to fix power for other people. And that passion is there, and that's a cultural thing all the way down.
Yeah.
So that's good. So the passion that you have for economic development comes back from where does that burning desire come from? Is it? I know you were a council person in Ashland.
Mm-hmm.
And so politically, you just said, I see the plight of Eastern Kentucky, but you want to fix it. How are you doing that?
I think it's much deeper. You ask where the passion comes from. I think it's much deeper than just being an elected official or working for Kentucky Power. I am of the generation out of Ashland that watched Ashland Oil leave, that watched AK Steel leave. So same sort of situation.
I'm not buying that. You look like you're 14 years old, so don't give me that nonsense. Maybe you're.
Thank you very much.
So,
no
way.
I had 3 generations of my family that worked for AK Steel, and so maybe not on the massive scale of the decline of coal, but specifically for one community, Ashland.
Sure.
I lived that. I watched that, and then as an elected official, tried to affect change in that regard. So I think that's ultimately where my passion comes from. Being involved with Kentucky Power and my service territory, goes from Lewis County in the north all the way down to Perry County in the south, and being responsible for all of 20 of those counties, I've gotten to know that story very well as well, and I feel the same. I feel like it's the same. When you consistently see business, industry, and opportunity go out the door with all of the people who were involved in that, there has to be somebody, some group. I mean, we have a small army of people that are working towards economic development. It's not just the two of us, but there has to be somebody, some entity that sort of picks up that mantle and says, we're going to fill in this space.
Just for clarification, One East Kentucky is not owned by Kentucky Power.
Correct.
Kentucky Power supports One East Kentucky through grants and donations and whatever it is that you do. Colby, how easy is it to work with Kentucky Power? Give me some examples of what type of things you've done with them, for them, and I'm going to ask you this question. If it weren't for them, how much harder would your job be?
It would be near impossible to do what we do at the level we do without the support specifically of the Kentucky Power Economic Growth Grants. So Kentucky Power has been a day one partner for One East Kentucky for the last 10 years, and I can testify that they are probably the most involved electric utility. I've worked outside of the Kentucky Power territory in economic development, and it was like pulling teeth to try to get something out of the service provider that I worked with in Harlan County. And so moving back into this role, we've used KPEG to fund our recruitment missions. I've been on the road this year. I've met with 60 different companies in person around the country and at different trade shows, and we couldn't have done that without their support. But Amanda's also there when I have a crazy idea, like we wanted to integrate some new AI large language models into how we do our kind of prospect research. There was a firm that I was connected with out of California, and I said, hey, Amanda, we've got an opportunity to kind of get in at the ground level with this startup. Let's take $20,000 and see what they can do to support our work so that we can compete with these economic development organizations.
What was the result of that?
So we have a tool now that's integrated internally for Amanda and I to use. When I go to a trade show, I can use this AI tool and say, I'm going to go meet with this company. Tell me about them. Show me the locations they have across the country, what kind of utilities they're using at those locations. So when I walk into that meeting, it looks like I've done hours of background research,
right,
and this tool has done that for me. And that's something that competing organizations that have staffs of 10 and 15 people doing what me and Amanda do have the ability to
that
do.
$20,000 per se that you got from Kentucky Power not only made your job easier, but it makes it easier for you to go out and prospect new businesses more efficiently and effectively. And it also, in the long run, probably saved you a bunch of money anyway, and travel, salaries, research, and
Consultant fees.
Yeah, or even having to hire a project manager to do
those project managers, I mean, aren't in this region. So one of the other things that you're doing that we need to talk about is when you do spend money with One East Kentucky, that money stays in the region. It doesn't go outside.
Correct.
And, I know that the AI thing you mentioned is out of California, but, we probably didn't have one close to here. But at least you didn't have to spend money for a consultant to come in from, Iowa to come in here and do something to take money out of the region. That money stays within the region. And just for clarification, KPEG is Kentucky Power Economic Growth Grant.
Correct.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute and tell me what that grant is, how it works, and how do people, dummies like me, apply? Can I apply for that grant?
No.
Well, damn it, I'm going home then. So,
unless you are planning on a major expansion and going to hire people and those sorts of things. Basically, the Kentucky Economic Growth Grant is a mechanism we use in order to fund economic development activities across the service territory. Essentially, it is non-residential customers. So you as a resident do not contribute to this fund. Non-residential customers pay $1 per month per meter. And the AEP shareholders match those dollars, dollar for dollar. And
you mean those money-grubbing shareholders that we hear so much about are actually digging into their pocket to match this fund to help economic development and growth?
They do. They do. They match those dollars evenly. If we collect $350,000 in, it's called the Kentucky Economic Development Surcharge, that's in the tariff, then they will match that $350,000. Gives me and Kentucky Power roughly $700,000 a year to put into economic development activities. They're very well defined in the KPEG program. That can be in site development, So that's, geotech analysis, dirt work, whatever it's going to take to put a site together. Most recently, this site development component of KPEG has really assisted in the Kentucky Product Development Initiative.
All right.
So, just for clarification, the Kentucky Product Development Initiative is a fund out of the state for the same purpose, for site development. And local communities apply to the state to receive funds to build a spec building, upgrade a road, upgrade utilities, whatever needs to happen in order to make a site marketable for that community for economic development purposes. Kentucky Power has come in as the match on a few of those programs, the Hager Hill project in Johnson County. We've been able to participate in those for site development purposes. So back to KPEG, site development, economic development education. So a lot of times we have economic developers, especially on the local level, that may have no idea what economic development is. They've been put in that position by their mayor or whatever. You may have a new elected official that isn't really up on economic development, and so we're able to send them to the Kentucky Institute for Economic Development, basically the basic economic development course. And then we also have facilitated in-depth economic development training through OUEDI, Oklahoma University Economic Development Institute, which is the training for economic developers. And we have several of our local economic developers who have received. I am actually one. Before I was at Kentucky Power, working in a regional EDO, Kentucky Power Economic Growth Grant paid for my economic development education.
Good.
So, economic development education is the second component, and these aren't in any order. Marketing and marketing is another one. So websites, marketing pieces that Colby may have to take with him when he meets with companies.
I saw the marketing tools as part of that.
And
and you've got professional consultants, economic development, site build, all that's product development stuff.
If I could jump in and give,
please jump in. A waiter's fine.
We had a project last year that was looking.
Can you like be specific about that project?
Yes.
Okay.
They announced in Floyd County. The company's name is Infinity Design and Construction.
Gotcha.
They had reached out to our office. They had an opportunity to acquire some property. They were wanting to move 35 jobs from the Louisville area back to eastern Kentucky. And they were having some issues securing financing to acquire that property. They were kind of stretched thin with their capital in central Kentucky. And so I reached out to Amanda and said, hey, there's an opportunity that we could bring some good paying jobs back to eastern Kentucky. Can we tap into KPEG to help them go after a larger loan so that they could secure this facility? Amanda immediately went to work with me, and we were able to do a KPEG grant that was put up as collateral to help this entity get a loan from the Southeast Kentucky Economic Development Corporation out of Somerset. And so we announced that project in October of last year. And I think there are about 15 employees so far, and they're pledged for 35. But they pay an average wage of $41.50 an hour.
Nice.
And it's a great fit for our workforce. They do a lot of metal fabrication and plumbing.
Now, let me ask you this question. When they came from Louisville to here, did you give them Wildcat shirts, or are they wearing those damn Cardinal shirts?
Thankfully, I didn't have to go that far. There's 3 partners that own this entity, and one of them was from McGoffin County originally, so he knew
better.
He knew about Eastern Kentucky and the work ethic.
He's close. Good. So one of the things that on your website, it talks about developing marketing tools needed to attract new businesses and stuff like that. Can you give me some specific examples of what type of tools? You mentioned websites. You mentioned some AI use. I mean, if like this Infinity company, if they came to you and said, listen, we need some marketing tools for signage and stuff like that, is this the type of stuff that you would do for them, or help them, or encourage them, or educate them on?
I can give you another example.
Lay it upon.
Of a platform. So we implemented a new GIS-enabled property listing software on our website. So if you go to oneeastkentucky.com/property, this program is what you'll access. And we've used it as a marketing tool to promote the available sites and buildings in the region, but it's also a data analysis tool. So you can add layers to the maps that you see on there. We've had prospects ask us in the past, we were working a charcoal project at one time looking at Pikeville. They wanted to know how many sawmills were within a 4 hours drive of Pikeville, Kentucky. And that's our job as
Yeah.
economic developers to get them that answer. And that used to be something that would take days to do.
Yes.
I would call Amanda and say, can you get someone at AP Corporate to run a report with this NAICS code and tell me how many of these, are within 4 hours of this location? Well, they would send us back a spreadsheet, and you never want to send just a long spreadsheet
Right.
with 400 entries to a
And
prospect.
we'd have to build a map.
So we would make a map by hand. Well, this tool allows us to upload that data into the program. So I can send them a map that shows them where all those sawmills are, and then I can show them where every available site and building is in southeastern Kentucky that they could potentially have as a
So
location.
because of AEP's investment in what you're doing, it's helping you create jobs, bring prosperity to the region. How many other companies like One East are you working with? I know SOAR's got some stuff.
Mhm.
Are they bringing you prospects on a regular basis to say, hey, listen, we need your help here, just like you're helping
Yep.
other folks?
Primarily, we have One East Kentucky. We also have Hazard Perry County Economic Development Alliance that we work very closely with that brings projects. We also have the Northeast Kentucky Economic Development Authority that covers Boyd and Greenup County in the north. Additionally, because of our relationships with the state cabinet brings us projects all the time. They know that they can bring a prospect to Eastern Kentucky, and we will perform. We will put on a great presentation and highlight the region, and they have no qualms about bringing companies to us regularly.
And going back to the transparency with Tanner last week, a lot of the stuff is listed on your website.
Mhm.
So if people are interested in, if they care, instead of before they get on the keyboard and start being, throwing darts at Kentucky Power or me personally, which I can care less about, what's the website that people can go to say, hey, listen, this is what we're doing, go on there and take a look at that?
Yeah, if you go to KentuckyPower.com, there's a tab for economic development. And when you click that tab, it'll take you, if you scroll down, it basically gives all of the KPEG information. There are links that show every KPEG we've ever given since it came into existence, what it was used for, what the outcomes of those grants were. That's not hidden information or anything that we're trying to hide behind. It's good for the region. It's good for our customers, and we like that they see it.
Well, don't take this the wrong way. I hope Tanner doesn't see this, but I don't mind talking. I don't like talking to him as much as I like talking to you guys. You guys are bringing to the table something that is actually proactive. And my blood boils because over the last 30 years, the politicians have actually squandered away the coal severance money. If we would have had 20% of that money here, we wouldn't be in the problem that we're in now. And it's a good thing and it's unfortunate that Kentucky Power had to say, if we don't do it, nobody else will. But I'm glad you're doing it. I'm not happy that you're doing it the way you're doing it, but I'm appreciative of the fact that it's being done, because eventually, and I'm going to hold your all's feet to the fire too. You bring people in there, we get more business in here. I'm going to expect to see some rate decrease announcements coming soon, and I think that that's good. And I think that people can expect that. I really appreciate you guys coming down today. Thank you so much for what you're doing, Amanda. I can't tell you how important it is to have you as passionate as you are
Thank you.
to do what you're doing, because there's people, you're dealing with 20 counties.
Mhm.
And I don't know what you do before you go to bed at night, but I'm telling you what,
I don't sleep well.
I don't
sleep
either.
well.
But there's a lot of people depending on you to make sure you get money or resources to him so he could bring people here. And then when you're working with local governments, state governments, county governments, city governments, that you're able to help them in any way. I don't care if we're getting a company that's going to bring 2 jobs in or 5 jobs or 200 jobs. Every little bit helps, and there's only one way to eat an elephant, and that's one bite at a time. We're not going to replace the coal jobs. We're not going to replace coal severance. But if we work together and we empower each other and are empowered by a force like you guys are doing, I think we're going to see some positive growth. It's not going to happen overnight. Didn't get screwed up overnight. It's not going to get fixed overnight.
I have one parting comment, if it's okay.
Of course it's okay.
You talk about governments and government involvement and all of that sort of thing. And I'd like to stress how important it is for all of us to be working together. There are state policies that affect economic development in Eastern Kentucky. Colby has been working diligently on a plan that makes those policies equitable or fair to Eastern Kentucky. Kentucky's got the way they set up their incentives. Essentially, you're defined as an enhanced county. Colby, how many counties are defined as an enhanced right now?
90 of 120.
90 of 120 are defined as enhanced. And so Colby's been working really hard with the state cabinet, with the Kentucky Association for Economic Development to level that playing field.
Sure.
A company that's going to Bowling Green today is getting the same incentive package as somebody going to Harlan. And that's not equitable in terms of who needs those jobs.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And
Bowling Green is, much more population, much more stuff. They've got much more flat land. Harlan is finite. There's an economic depression in that area, just like it's in Eastern Kentucky, and we need more.
Yeah. So Colby's been working really hard on that. And, it's really that government involvement is a very key piece in terms of, state elected, local elected, determining kind of what their role is in this prospect. And by the way, we all have a role in this process. Everyday citizens have a role in this process. We are all marketers for our communities, or we should be. We should all look at our communities through the lens of how am I going to get more people here and how am I going to bring business and industry.
Sure.
And, this is a terrible place. Why would anybody that's not going to help you.
Right. Right.
It won't.
We've got to have a positive attitude, and we've got to know that there are people out there working. We can't just sit behind on our laurels and say, hey, listen, when the coal business boomed, this is what happened. We've got to be progressive.
You know as well as I do that Eastern Kentuckians are a hard-working,
Grit, man,
salt of the earth kind of people. Yeah. And the more we can tell that story and the more that we can get companies to understand that if they choose to locate here, they're going to get some of the best people in the world working for them, then the better off we'll all be.
I've been here 25 years, another 25 I'll start fitting in. But I tell you what I found with our employees here, they are the salt of the earth. Mm-hmm. Hardworking, smarter than they'll ever know. They do fantastic creative things, just like the folks who work at Kentucky Power. Again, people, if you're interested in finding out where your money's going, it's fully transparent. If you want to try to save money on your power bills, go to the website, ask for the overhaul or inspection or audit that they offer you. They'll do it for you. They'll come out. They'll schedule a time. They'll make it happen. And I want to thank two more people behind the power.
Thank you.
Amanda Clark, Colby Kirk. Colby does not work for Kentucky Power. Amanda does. But thank you for coming in today. Thanks for doing what you're doing. And listen, don't take no for an answer. Get those damn jobs to Eastern Kentucky and make it happen. We are counting on you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.